Hello, it's Sarah from Sassy Reads, and I'm bringing you week 1 of my March Women of Reading vlog. So, it's the 3rd of March. I have finished a book written by a woman because I'm trying to read as many women as I can since March is National Women's History Month, I think. If I remember correctly. I think that's the official title, Women's History Month. And so I'm trying to read as many women writers, especially innovative women writers, and women writers who we should all be celebrating. So first up on my list is the queen of science fiction, Octavia E. Butler. I love Octavia E. Butler. In 2019, I read Parable of the Sower for a post-apocalyptic class. Then I read Parable of the Talents last year in the summer, and I weep that the Earthseed series was never concluded because I know after reading the first book in this series, to be in space with Earthseed would have been amazing. But this is me going back in her series. So this is Lilith's Brood and Bind Up. It's also known as Exogenesis. This story, I read Dawn, the first book. So it's like 250 pages. I read the first book. It's wild. We follow a woman named Lilith who has been kept in an unawakened state by aliens for over 200 years after the Earth has been destroyed in a nuclear war. And the aliens have decided it is time for her to be awakened, and they're getting ready, and they're going to train her, get her used to these aliens so that she can lead the new settlement back to Earth. Oh, I loved how this book ended. I gave it 4.25 stars overall because it was slow, but I enjoyed it. And I feel like I'm going to enjoy this book overall because I'm trying to look at Lilith's Brood as the book and not like just each separate book. Because I feel like this trilogy is meant to be read as an entity. But after I read Dawn, I need a palate cleanser because I can only handle so much weird alien threesome human stuff. Okay, I got to take a little break. Little breather. And it's also really depressing because I'm at this point where I'm like, humans do not deserve this second chance. Let's kill them off. And then I'm to the point where I agree with aliens. I'm like, yes, let's splice our DNA together so humans are not just running around wild anymore, because they're running around on this spaceship killing each other unnecessarily. Slight spoiler, but I mean, you know it's gonna get there at some point because humans are human. And they love to rape and kill each other. And it's just depressing. It's like, dang, like, can we learn from our mistakes? So, Octavia E. Butler. Hopefully I will finish Lilith's Brood this month in March. Other women's books I'm reading right now. I'm reading and listening to Grown by Tiffany G Jackson. I love this cover so much. It is really good so far. We follow Enchanted Jones, and she wants to be a singer. We follow her when she wakes up surrounded by what is called beet juice, but it's blood, the blood of Corey Fields, who is a famous rapper who took her under his wing. And, you know, similar to R. Kelly in situation. Excited, can't wait, loving it so far. My bookmark is inaccurate because I've read more since, but it's so good. Love it. That's my first time actually reading Tiffany G Jackson, so I definitely like her. And I would say she's pretty innovative because she does like YA mystery thrillers with darker contemporary, and we don't see a whole lot of that. It's a more recent genre, I feel like, that's getting traction, but for a while it was all just romance in the YA contemporary genre. And I'm also reading The Space Between Worlds. I forgot to grab the dust jacket. I'm kind of putting this one on hold because I'm on page 96. I read a big chunk of it, and then it's been like 2 weeks since I picked it up. So hopefully I'll get back to this in March, but no pressure. But because I finished Dawn, and before I jump into Adulthood Rights, the sequel in the Exogenesis series, or Lilith's Brood, I need a palate cleanser. So my options are The Devil Crept In or The Graveyard Apartment. The Devil Crept In follows young Jude Brighton after she's gone missing, and while the search, him is still in full swing. The small town of Deer Valley, Oregon, the locals are starting to lose hope. 48 hours critical. It's just like the stories from years ago. That boy, Max Larson, was found dead. And there were the animals, pets gone missing out of yards. Okay. This sounds really interesting. I'm really excited to read an Anaya Alborn book because I've heard great things. And then The Graveyard Apartment by Mariko Koyoki. I'm hoping I'm saying her last name right. This is a Japanese horror novel. And it's about these people who buy an apartment next to a graveyard in Japan. And I have never read like official Japanese horror besides like Junji Ito, and I'm really intrigued. So I don't know which one I want to start. I really want to read this one, but I think that this one would be really fun. So I think I'm gonna go with this one, and then I'll read The Devil Crept In after I finish Adulthood Rights. I'll do like a palate cleanser in between each one. So I'll check in with you later. Whoa, it's a day later since the last time I checked in. I read one chapter of The Graveyard Apartment, which here's the dust jacket. Bam. Which, okay, I think the more that I look at this like book without the dust jacket, I think it's so cool and stylistic in choice because it feels like kind of textile and it has like no words on it. So when I opened and I took the dust jacket off, I was like, did I not like get the right book? And then I saw the inside and I was like, okay, yeah, it's the right one. I did forget to say though that this book is translated by Deborah Bolivier Bohm. And this is published by St. Martin's Press. I don't know if they're still publishing this book. I could only find the hardcover. But interesting. Fun fact, this book was published in Japan in 1993. It's set in 1987. And so far, it's got like an interesting setup. Like I said earlier, it's about a couple who moves into an apartment in Japan. It's like right in the center of Tokyo, or close to the center of Tokyo, so it's like a really good location. And the amount that you can purchase this not even graveyard, oh my god, the amount that you can purchase this apartment for a year is a really good price. And so that's why what are their names? I've only read one chapter, so I'm still learning these people. Oh, and then it doesn't even tell me in the flap. But I will learn their names and I will get back to you. But they are a family, husband, wife, daughter. And the chapter opens up with their bird dying. And the writing style is interesting, and I can't tell if it's the translation or the writing style itself, but it's very like description, thought, description, flashback, and it's kind of jarring. And I think that's why I only read one chapter last night, because I'm not interested. It just wasn't like gripping. So I do want to finish this though. I'm trying not to start another book because right now I really want to read the new Sarah J Maas book, and I know that I should finish this book, and I should also finish my Octavia E. Butler book, Lilith's Brood, but I just really want to read some trashy fairy stuff, and I love Cassian, and I really like Nesta. I'm in like one of those few people. So I'll give myself another shot with this, and hopefully I will get further. I did finish a book yesterday though, last night. I finished a novella that I got an arc of, I had started it at like the last day of February, and I just finished it yesterday on the 3rd. It's called She Ain't Pretty by Renee Miller. I'll put a picture like here or here, I don't know. But I don't really know how to describe that novella. It's a horror novella. It's about a girl who's going to investigate a cult and a guy who is trapped in a cult by a potential succubus. So yeah, there's like a lot of weird sex demon stuff in that book. For a long time, it was like a solid 3-star read for me, but by the time I got to the end, I was like, these characters are so underdeveloped. I'm forced to believe that they care for each other when there's been no context that they even have a reason to care for each other. And I did like the ending, though. Like, the last 2 or 3 pages, I was like, I like it. It's bleak, it's dark. It definitely felt like a good ending. I don't know if I'll read more Renee Miller, but I gave her a shot. So that is 2 books written by women read so far this month. So whoop whoop. Let's go for 3. I don't think I'll be able to finish a book tonight unless I really get into the Graveyard Apartment. I don't know. I would like to finish a book tonight. I have big goals, but little hours because I have to wake up at 5 a.m. tomorrow. So we can't just read all day and night. That would be nice. But I don't know. I think I'm going to go and take a shower, and then while I'm drying my hair, I will read. I may update you tonight. I probably won't. See you later. Hello. It's the next day. I didn't get any reading done yesterday, but I'm reading tonight since it's Friday, so I don't have work tomorrow. Yay. I have read 3 more chapters of The Graveyard Apartment by Mariko Koyoki. Interesting so far. I'm on page 45. I still don't care for the writing style, and I'm not sure if it's the writing style or the translation, but I don't know how I feel yet. I do want to look up some reviews on this, see what more people have to say. Especially, I'm curious what like the Japanese audience thinks about this book, because I'm an American, so completely different culture, right? So I'm interested to see what Japanese fans think. Yeah, so also, in case I didn't show you this is the back, all the hands. I have been reading Grown by Tiffany G Jackson. I am loving it and hating it simultaneously because this content makes me feel things. So, spoilers, because I do think that this is an important topic to talk about. And I feel like when we're discussing these things in the book community, we shouldn't just be like, yeah, here's the content, trigger warning. And like, that isn't necessarily enough, because I do think that people should be made aware of extreme graphic situations. When you get to chapter 36, we encounter the ice bucket chapter, where Enchanted is locked into a hotel room because she talked to a boy at a party, even though, you know, Corey Fields, the rapper, a 28-year-old man, is hitting up all these other girls. Okay. And, you know, he says, like, a lot of disgusting things, like, you need to look like Beyonce, so you can't have a shaved head. Hello, this woman is beautiful. She does not need a wig. If she wants to wear a wig, she can, but shaved head looks beautiful, too. And then oh gosh, he's the type of man that I can't stand, because, like, as a Christian woman, and then not even a Christian woman, as a Jesus-following woman, because I don't actually agree with most Christian culture, as a woman who follows Jesus, it is despicable and disgusting to me when men misquote and misrepresent scripture for their twisted and inappropriate manipulation of young girls and women. And that's Corey Fields' MO. Yeah, it's disgusting. It's not cute. And he locks her in this hotel room, and she can't even go into the bathroom because he's like, you can't leave this room. And then the woman who is watching Enchanted, like, for the record label, brings her an ice bucket. So she continues to enable and participate in this sick and disgusting behavior. Enchanted is starved for 16 hours. 16 hours. She's not allowed to use the bathroom like a physical toilet. She has to go in an ice bucket. She's not fed. She's not given water. And Corey Fields allows people around him to enable this. Like, he keeps this woman, Jessica, around. Don't know who she is. She's probably, like, groomed like those Nexum cult girls were to, you know, like Allison Mack, how she was groomed to groom other women. That's what I'm assuming Jessica is. But I wasn't warned of this, and I think that this is like a really intense kind of scene. And I know there are triggers at the beginning of the book, but sometimes I feel like it is important to discuss what those content warnings specifically involve. And that is quite graphic and disturbing. So I wanted to document this experience because I got a lot of feelings, and I want to keep you updated as I read Grown, because I think it's a fantastic novel, and I want you to be a part of the experience and hear all my spoilery thoughts. So I will check in soon. Okay, I am crying. I'm a mess. This is too intense for me. This stuff always like makes me emotionally like overwhelmed and exhausted, and it's even more and more intense. I'm on part 3 now. Just finished part 2. And oh my gosh, it's so frustrating because, oh my god, I'm gonna start crying. It's so frustrating to me how easy it is for sex trafficking and stuff like this to just happen in the world. And like the police just like listen to men in situations and never girls who look scared or intimidated. And like in chapter 56, like if it wasn't for Nicole being the best flight attendant and being like, I need to hear from Enchanted or this woman that she is okay. And like, it's so frustrating to me that there are not enough Nicoles in the world. And I'll leave it at that. All right, it's gotta stay, I think. I have my phone precariously propped up on a giant stack of books. So I read Grown last night. My pajama pants are on the floor. Oops. But, oh yeah, and there's clothes that I need to put up. Yeah, okay. You know, can I be real for a second? The thing that I hate doing the most is putting up clothes. So I will literally just leave like piles on like random surfaces in my room to avoid doing it. And I've been this way since I've gone to college. It's just one of those things that I can't stand doing. Anyway, I finished Grown by Tiffany G Jackson last night at 11:30. It was amazing. Like, are we surprised? Are we surprised that this book was a hit for me? I think not. Like, I was destined to love this book. Like, since the cover came out, I remember me and my best friend, we were at work, and I used to work at a library on campus in the archival department, and I was like scrolling on a website while taking a break, and I saw this cover release, and I showed it to my best friend, and she was like, oh my god, that cover is beautiful. And I think her and my other best friend both really want to read it, and I'm curious to see what they think because I feel like they will love this book. But I already put in a request for Monday's Not Coming at my library because I want to read that one. I also want to read Allegedly, because at the end I found out that Tiffany G Jackson bases all of her books off of real life cases, and that's super exciting to me because I love true crime and I love books inspired by true crime and real, like, historical events. And so this book is just up my alley. I'm also a huge advocate for discussions and more awareness to missing, sex trafficked, and murdered women, as well as just offering support and resources to victims of sexual abuse and assault. And this book was so powerful, so beautiful, and I really appreciated and learned so much from the dialogue about how society doesn't believe Black girls and Black women. I read Hood Feminism last summer, and I had been introduced to the term a fast girl, and growing up I've never heard anyone refer to a fast girl, and so that was a newer term for me, but it came up again in this book in regards to Enchanted, and they're like, she's such a fast girl, she deserved it, that's what she gets for wanting to be grown. And I just loved the conversation that we can have around the title itself, because there was one chapter called Grown, and it's her mom like leaving phone calls, and she's like, Enchanted, answer the phone. Enchanted, where are you? Enchanted, baby, we love you. Enchanted, like, what's going on? Let daddy come see you. Enchanted, let us in. Enchanted. And like, she's being like held hostage and doesn't have any clue that these phone calls are even being left to her because she doesn't have her phone. And it's just so good. And then I also love the dynamic that one of the comments on a forum post while at the end of the book, it was like, girls want to act grown, so they should have grown responsibilities and consequences. And I disagree with that completely, because when you're growing up you want to be an adult, and then when you're an adult you just want to go back to being a kid. And even adults don't understand their consequences, much less openly accept them. And I just also think it's a double standard, and I only ever hear that said about women. I never hear that said about men at all, when I know like way too many immature men who don't recognize consequences when they do actions. Like, for instance, I was on a ministry trip and a guy straight up said to me, like, I hope you get kidnapped one day. And I was like, excuse me? And you think we're still going to be friends and that I'm going to respect you or want to even talk to you? Like, no, cut you off. Like, that is not the way that you talk to a girl, much less a girl and you're claiming to be a Christian. So that's just like an example of just like a simple example. I could probably go into deeper examples, but you know, not the point. Anyway, also, I recognize that another thing that we can discuss with the name Grown is Corey Fields is a grown man. Like, a grown-ass man. Like, 28, 29 years old by the time this book ends. He's old. And he's hitting up teenagers. Like, gross. What is it called when you're not a pedophile? A hebephile? Right? It's based off of Lolita, I think. He's a hebephile. He likes young women who are out of the cusp, or in the middle of the cusp of their puberty and adolescence cycle, and it's gross. It's so gross. And I really appreciate the conversation that we can have with how our society kind of romanticizes and fetishizes this occurrence in men, and it's not okay. Like, even growing up, I was like, oh, I'm attracted to older men, and now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is really uncomfortable to walk through, because no dialogue was ever prompted or given that we could have this discourse. And so this book is super important for teens. I'm actually gonna buy a copy for my classroom and stick this bad boy in there. Normally I let them vote on books, but I am not taking a vote. This book is going in the classroom. I have a feeling that a lot of my students will read this though, because I have a large population of Black girls, and they love to see Black women and Black girls on the covers of books. It gets them so excited to read. And so I know that even if just one of my students pick this up, an important conversation and thought process can start happening. And my girls are at the age where they need to have these conversations, because I wish that someone would have had these conversations with me, appropriate and hard dialogue. And I don't feel like our society offers that safe space. And because of that, Enchanted and so many other girls who are represented by this story fall into that trap of being lured away from safety and into these incredibly abusive and horrifying situations. And maybe, you know, this is an extreme example, because like she is held captive in a room and forced to pee in a bucket without water or food for like days on end, and then forced into this weird sister wife but we're not married situation with other talented females that Corey Fields preys on. It was a lot. I do think that this novel will be triggering for a lot of people, especially young women or even older women who have been in these power dynamics with a huge age gap. And there's nothing wrong with like an age gap when you're two consenting adults and you both understand what you're consenting to, but she couldn't consent. She's 17. And legally she can consent, but morally, emotionally, and mentally, psychologically, she's not at the stage of consent. I think psychologically you're not developed as a woman until like 23 or 24, if I remember correctly from my adolescent psych class that I took like 2 or 3 years ago. So it's a weird dynamic, but a conversation that I'm so excited is being sparked. And I just want to push this book on everybody right now. I'm so excited that this was like this is my third book that I read this month. And I have my second book by a Black author. So that's exciting, because I noticed when I was looking at my statistics for this year, I've only read like 4 or 5 Black authors. And I'm like, no, we need to change that. And so I've been wanting to read Tiffany G Jackson since like Allegedly was released, and I finally got around to her, and I'll be going back and reading all of her work because I vibe with her writing. I love her storytelling. I love her character development, and I also appreciate in her author's note that she says, like, I wanted to show that this could also happen to girls who come in a double parent home. Like, a lot of times people have this misconception that if you have a lack of a father figure, you are going to be led astray or manipulated. And that's like not true at all. Any girl in a society where we protect men and not the girls because we see them as fast or loose or too grown, we are setting them up to not have the support to recognize these red flags, much less know how to be like, stop, I don't want this. And when she gained her voice on that airplane scene, it was so important, so beautiful, so impactful, and I ate it up. Like, mwah, love it, so good. Everyone needs to read Grown, like point blank period. If you haven't read it yet, this is like a sign to get it, okay? So, I did forget to update you guys though. I started another book on my phone. It's called What They Meant for Evil, and I don't remember who the author is, but I'll like put a picture here. And it is about one of the, I think she said there's 16 or 19 lost girls from Sudan, and we always hear about the stories of the lost boys of Sudan, and how a war came, destroyed their village, and they were displaced. And she is like, I think, one of the first stories from the lost girls that's ever being written, and I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm only like, I think in the middle of the first or second chapter, but I just really wanted to read a really good autobiography. I find that I've been struggling to stay focused with Christian nonfiction lately, and I don't know what it is. I've been in this perpetual Christian reading slump since like August of last year, maybe even before then. And I've read a couple of really good Christian books, but I've also read just a lot of flatliners, like nothing special. And so I'm trying to find stuff that I know that I like. And I usually love Christian biographies and stories. So I'm excited to learn more about the Sudan and, you know, just the lost girls. And I'm curious because this is a topic I don't know about and I love to learn new topics. So I will check in later. Bye. Hello. I got a package from Book of the Month. So I love Book of the Month. I'm not like an affiliate sponsor or anything. I joined Book of the Month over a year ago. And I'm also in one of the Facebook book clubs. So I'm excited. I got 2 books. One of the, what month are we in? March. One of the March picks. And then I got an add-on from a previous month. I think it was like added on in January. But I didn't get that last month, so I got it this month. But I got The Last Apothecary. Ooh, obsessed. Let's see what it looks like. Ooh, I love the font. It's nice. I'm excited for this one. Okay, I don't really care for the colors on the inside. I don't feel like it goes well. I think they should have done like purples and blues or pinks because that gold yellow thing with the blue just doesn't look good. But I like the back, the little bug. Yeah, I'm excited for this one. I love Bailey Sarian's Murder Mystery Makeup Monday, and this one sounds like Aqua Tofana. I can't remember that serial killer's name, but you know what I'm talking about, the Aqua Tofana perfume. This is like the same thing. She like, online it said like, there is one rule, and it's that you must not poison other women. And I was like, yes, Aqua Tofana. So I'm excited for this one. It's actually really short. I thought it was going to be like a big giant book. I did hear that it's mismarketed. It's a historical fiction, not a fantasy, you guys. And I also got We Could Be Heroes by Mike Chin. I'm excited for this one. It's a sci-fi, and I heard, I think I heard Rachel from Shades of Orange. I love her booktube channel. She talks about science fiction and horror, and I love her. And I think this was on her 2021 book she's interested in. It looks like they folded it wrong. It's a little like off. But that's okay. Yeah, they definitely folded it wrong. That's okay. It's about someone who wakes up with the ability to read people's minds but no memory. Jamie, that's the first girl, I think. Oh, no, Jamie's a guy, sorry. Zoe searches her past and using her abilities for speed. So yeah, We Could Be Heroes. I'm pretty sure this is based off the David Bowie song. I love the cover. I just think it's really cool. I'm excited. I don't read a whole lot of like superhero stuff, but I love this. So pretty. And the inside's actually nice too. I prefer these colors because I did not like the yellow on The Last Apothecary, but I'm excited for this one. I got some stuff in here. What does it say? We're totes sorry. I just became a BFF. COVID-19 tote bags ran out, so I'll be getting one later. Where were we is the bookmark. Okay, so yeah, I'm excited for these two. I'm gonna put my bookmark in The Last Apothecary. I don't know when I'm gonna start these, but I have them, so it looks so nice. I just love the Book of the Month labels next to each other. So nice. Updates for reading today. I viewed an apartment because I'm planning to move out. Didn't like it. Didn't sign for it. Continuing to look. I read another chapter in Less Than Perfect by Anne Spangler, which I don't think I've mentioned this on my channel at all. But I really am enjoying this because it's like an intensive character Bible study, and it takes like a specific character from the Bible and looks at the historical, theological, context. And it's fun. I'm really enjoying this one. I'm on page 172 and I'm on the Saul chapter. I just read the Hannah and Peninnah chapter today, which was really nice. I don't think I'm going to read any more of this today, but I read some of that. And I also am reading some more of What They Meant for Evil, but I just wanted to open my book of the month with you guys. So I'll see you later. Look at me updating you guys for like the third or fourth time today. I'm chilling in my awesome llama blanket. I'm like obsessed with this blanket. It's like the best thing I've ever bought. It's so comfortable. Well, I have actually done some reading today. I got to see some friends that I haven't seen in a long time. So that was nice. But I'm still reading The Graveyard Apartment. I'm actually enjoying it a lot more now than I was the last time I checked in with you guys yesterday. I'm now on page 101, so I've smashed out a good chunk of this because I think yesterday I was on like page 45. And I'm on chapter 8 out of 22 in a prologue. I would like to finish this tomorrow on Sunday and then post this video. So that's the goal. So far, The Graveyard Apartment is pretty good. I like the build-up and direction that it's taking now. Once I got past, I want to say, once chapter 5 hit, that's where I became more invested. And by chapter 6, I was definitely invested. Chapter 7 was pretty creepy. And I really, really enjoyed that chapter. Because now we have like this creepy basement and her daughter got attacked in the basement. So that was horrifying. And this man shows up and he like does some weird ritual and speaks some language, and all of a sudden the elevator starts to move. Which, speaking of, can we talk about how the infrastructure of this apartment makes absolutely no sense? And like everyone who lives in the apartment recognizes this and they're like, it's a horrible idea. Well, duh, why don't y'all fix it? Like, put in some work requests or something. But the elevator goes through the first, I think, to the 8th floor, or is it the 14th? And maybe it's 14 floors, something like that. So it goes all the way up, right? Well, they also have a basement level, okay? But the emergency stairwell only goes from the first all the way to the top floor. The elevator goes from the top floor all the way to the basement. So the only way that you can get in and out of the basement is through the elevator. That makes things complicated, right? When apparently there's some spirits involved. And okay, every time she goes in this basement, it's so creepy because it's like you can feel this wind and it sounds like almost like it's trying to suck her in through this portal or whatever. And it's creepy, but like I like it. I don't know. I'm digging it a lot more than before. The writing style is still really weird, and I hate how like randomly we'll be in a character's like point of view and narrative, and then it'll switch to like a paragraph on social commentary to like seem really woke. But this book was written in the 80s, so the social commentary is like really questionable and full of like misogyny and girl on girl hate. And I'm like, can we just take those chunks out? Because it didn't age well. Aged like milk, not like wine, that's for sure. But also our cultures are really different, so I gotta keep that in mind. Culturally, maybe these comments have not aged horribly in Japan, although I'm not sure. You know, I used to know a lot about Japanese culture, and I used to be really into learning all about it when I was in middle school, and it's something that I don't know a whole lot about anymore. So I cannot speak for that, but I can speak for my own personal feelings towards it, and that is something that I'm not a fan of so far. Also, I think it's weird how the husband, is his name Taipei? Okay, I think the husband's name is Taipei, and the daughter's name is Tamayo? Tamayo? No, that sounds a little like tomato. And then the wife's name is Masayo. Or Masayo? Someone who speaks Japanese, please correct me on all of these pronunciations, because I could listen and study them, but I would still butcher them. I do this. It's something that people in southern Louisiana do. We butcher pronunciations. I cannot help it. I try so hard, but my accent makes it impossible to pronounce most things correctly. So, struggles of living in the deep south. Hello. I was supposed to update you guys yesterday, and I didn't. That was the goal. I was supposed to finish editing this vlog and have my life together, but it's Monday. Taught today, back to work. So, quick recap of everything that I read last week. I finished Dawn, the first book in Lilith's Brood by Octavia E. Butler. Gave that 4.25 stars. Read Grown by Tiffany G Jackson. Gave this 5 stars. And I also read She Ain't Pretty. Gave that like 2 stars. Made some good progress with The Graveyard Apartment, which I have the cover here. I thought I was going to finish it yesterday, and I was really into it, but I didn't. I'm on page 173, so I'm like almost over halfway done. I read a short story from His Hideous Heart. I read the story by Tessa Gratton. What's that one called? Night Tide. And it's based off of Annabelle Lee. And I really love Annabelle Lee, but I didn't connect very well with her writing style. And I've noticed that before because I have read The Queens of Innis Lear, but I DNF'd it like at around like 200 or 300 pages. So I know her writing style and I don't jive well, and I think that's what I felt with that one. But I do love the first 2 stories in this collection, my favorite being the Tiffany D Jackson one for the Cask of Amontillado. Which, speaking of a Cask of Amontillado retellings, if you guys haven't read or heard about the new Mindy McGinnis book, what's it called? The Initial Insult. Put a picture here, and I'll talk more about it in my February wrap-up. That book is such a fun Edgar Allan Poe retelling for teenagers, and I just want people to read it because it's awesome. But goals for the next week, I'm not sure. I just wanted to give a wrap up. That way I could splice this video together and edit it. I will see you later. Don't forget to subscribe. Tell me what you're reading. Tell me if you've read any of these books. Tell me if you're interested in reading any of these books if you haven't. And I can't wait to see you down below in the comments. Bye. Happy reading.